So check this out. If you're a Ronaldo fan or even a hater, it's no secret that Cristiano Ronaldo was once a showboater that nobody trusted. No goals, no end product, just flicks, tricks, and frustrations, which led to the United fans and even his teammates questioning whether he was good enough to make it. Yeah, he was that bad. And here's an example. A recent post showed that Lamine Yamal, Mbappe, Neymar, Haaland, and Messi all had 50-plus goal involvements in their first 100 career games. Cristiano, on the other hand, had only 26, nowhere near as decisive as the players on this list. But somehow, that scrawny kid became the most feared footballer on the planet, literally carrying United to the Champions League title and winning a Ballon d'Or. But this, which I'm about to share, is what truly defined how legendary Ronaldo is. In 2009, Ronaldo decided to join Madrid, and this was an era where Barcelona dominated Spain, and Messi was on the rise to eclipse him as the best player in the world. Ronaldo went into the Spanish league with many disadvantages. He was playing under a new manager, a new system, new teammates, in a league ruled by Messi, and Madrid was nowhere close to being as good as Barcelona, so Ronaldo had every reason to fail. But against all these odds, he somehow managed to turn the tables. This little kid from Portugal went to England and became the best player the league had ever seen, then went to Spain and silenced Barcelona, dethroned Messi, and led Madrid to the league title and to Champions League glory, winning 2 Ballon d'Ors and etching his name into history between 2009 and 2014, proving that wherever he went, he can still perform at the highest level. But how exactly did he do it, and what challenges did he face along the way? Well, those are some of the questions we'll be answering in today's video, as we cover Ronaldo's first 5 years at Madrid. So stick around and watch till the end to learn something you might not know about Ronaldo. So following his Ballon d'Or win in 2008, Ronaldo was hit with a few injuries in 2009, and that, along with a sexual assault allegation, led to a few ups and downs in his performances, though the allegations came to light later on. Ronaldo might have been battling with this internally for quite some time. But that aside, in 2009, Ronaldo failed to retain the Ballon d'Or, and he sealed a move to Madrid later in the year to fulfill his childhood dream of playing for Los Blancos. Madrid were going through a rough time themselves, as they hadn't won the UCL since 2002. They also had only 2 league titles in 6 years, with Barcelona being the dominant force in Spain over the past 5 years. So yeah, Cristiano had work to do, but just look at how insane his first season was. His debut game was against Deportivo, and like we saw at United, Ronaldo was occupying the wing, but in this game he was played on the right as opposed to on the left, which he is used to, because this was a new role and a new system. Ronaldo was pretty much playing it safe by dropping deep to pick up the ball and distributing with his teammates. He wasn't doing much dribbling, nor did he leave the wing too much to get in the box, but he would get in there for a set piece, which he headed over the bar, but he was close. And in the 35th minute, he'd step up to take a penalty and scored his first Madrid goal. And it's funny how right after he scored, he went on one of his signature dribbles and almost assisted Raul, but the match would end 3-2 in favor of Madrid. In the second match, he was subbed on in minute 65, and in the last seconds of the match, he would score goal number 2. But these 2 games were only a warm-up for what's to come. Just 42 seconds into the match, Ronaldo picked the ball up in the midfield and went around about 4 defenders to fire a rocket past the keeper from outside the box. This was 3 goals in 3 games, but what's more important is that he was waking up. The previous 2 games saw him playing it safe because it was his debut, but in this match we saw him taking more people on and dictating the game with his dribbling. And that momentum would help add another goal as he powered home a header in the 75th minute. But like the previous match, he was subbed out by Pellegrini. Honestly, I don't know why Ronaldo wasn't playing the full 90 minutes. Maybe the coach wasn't yet convinced. I don't know. But come the next game, with 1 minute on the clock, he took the ball from half line and dribbled all the way to the edge of the box to fire home what was a lovely solo goal. With 4 games played, that was 5 goals for Ronaldo, and he was level with Messi as top scorer. And in the Champions League, he had 4 goals in 2 games, making it 9 goals in 6 games overall, and at this point, he was the most informed player in Spain. But unfortunately, he'd pick up an ankle injury that would see him miss almost 2 months of football, and when he came back from injury, he still had more goals than Messi, which was actually incredible. When he came back, Cristiano struggled a bit to pick back up his form. For example, he was rushed back against Barcelona but couldn't affect the game. However, against Almeria, he scored and assisted but picked up a suspension for the next game. He'd score again after he returned from suspension, but for 3 games after that, he wasn't quite effective because he lost his momentum. But he'd get it back and bagged a brace against Malaga, only to be suspended again for 2 matches. But even though he was having a bit of a rough patch with inconsistent game time since his injury, he still showed up for Madrid in the second leg of the round of 16 after they lost the first game 1-0. But even though he scored, it wasn't enough to keep the team in the competition as they lost 2-1. Cristiano would go on to put up 17 goals and 8 assists in the final 16 games after he started playing frequently again, even having a match where he had 3 assists, just completing a side quest for those who said he only could score goals. The season would end with him having 33 goals and 10 assists in 35 games, but with having 9 goals in his first 6 games. Just imagine how many he'd get that season if he didn't suffer with injuries and suspensions. And if we're being honest, we can make an argument that if not for the setbacks, 2010 would have been the best debut season in history if you look closely at what he did in 2011. So what exactly did he do in 2011? Well, like I stated before, this was his second season in Spain, playing for a Madrid team that was inferior to Barcelona at the time, and Messi had won the previous 2 Ballon d'Ors. His first season saw him play under Pellegrini, but now he had a new coach in Mourinho, which means he was going to play in a new system and he'd need to adjust. But somehow, under all these tactical changes, this man managed to outscore everyone in Spain and broke the record for the most goals ever in the league, scoring 40 goals, even though he missed 4 games through injuries and was a sub in 3 other matches due to him recovering. And you know what else was nuts? The fact that over the course of the season, he had a period with 13 goal contribution in 4 games. And then later on, he got injured and returned and put up 15 goal contributions in his last 4 games. And if you're bad at maths, then that's 28 goal contributions in 8 games. And he would score in the finals of the Copa del Rey to beat Barcelona and lift his first trophy in Spain. At the end of the season, Cristiano was level with Messi on 53 goals. And if you add international goals, he was the top scorer in Europe with 58. He was handed the European Golden Boot for the 2nd time in his career, becoming the first player in history to win it in 2 different leagues. And remember, this was his 2nd season in Spain, playing under his 2nd coach in 2 years and a new system. And I'll repeat again, considering all the factors that were thrown his way, who else do you know who could put up 33 goals in their debut season, and then went on to score 53 goals in the 2nd season while technically missing 7 matches? In 2012, Ronaldo would finally shut up Barcelona. And this year was the birth of the famous Calma celebration as he scored the decisive goal to dethrone Barca and win Madrid their first league title since 2008. This season, he managed to put up 75 goal contributions, becoming the first ever player to score against every club in the league, and also becoming the fastest player in history to score 100 goals in Spain. But that's not the most impressive thing. Alright, I have a question for you, and you can tell me in the comments if I'm crazy. For me personally, I think only Messi can make the claim of being better than Ronaldo, so I'm going to use him in this example. Messi practically grew up in Barcelona, which means their style of play is ingrained in his DNA. However, the season that basically put him on the world stage was 2009, when he won the Ballon d'Or. Since 2009 was basically his rise, we're going to pretend that's his debut, and we'll look at his stats from 2009 to 2011, which is basically his best first 3 years. And it shouldn't be an issue because he was the best in the world for those 3 years. So with that said, let's compare his stats with Ronaldo's first 3 years at Madrid. In those 3 years, Messi had 138 goals, while Ronaldo had 146. Messi had 58 assists, while Ronaldo had 43. So in total goal contributions, Messi had 196 and Cristiano had 189. And the reason I gave you this comparison is to show how ridiculously talented Ronaldo is, because these numbers were put up in a new team with 2 different tactical coaches in 3 years, and he basically matched the man who was named the best player in the world 3 times. And the circumstances were different because Messi grew up playing Barcelona's style of football, and he was in a better team. Anyways, this is just something I wanted to share with you, just to emphasize that what Ronaldo was doing wasn't normal. Getting 189 goal contributions in your first 3 seasons is nuts, but for the 2012-13 season, it actually gets better. So in the season opener, Madrid would play Barca in the Supercopa de España. And coming off the back of a successful 2012, Ronaldo had now won the League and Copa del Rey. The only major trophy he hadn't won with Madrid was the UCL, being knocked out by Lyon, Barca, and Bayern the last 3 years. But this year, he was at the peak of his powers. So let's see what will happen. In the first leg of the Copa de España, Madrid traveled to Barcelona's home ground to play. Ronaldo would fire Madrid in front in the 55th minute, but 3 quick goals from Pedro, Messi, and Xavi would see Barca pull ahead, until Di Maria made it 3-2 in the dying minutes. However, in the second leg, Madrid would get the job done 2-1, with Ronaldo being on the score sheet again, lifting his first trophy of the season. His Champions League campaign got off to an impressive start as Madrid came from behind to beat Man City 3-2 with Ronaldo scoring the winner. The second match against Ajax would see him bag his first hat-trick of the season. And speaking of hat-tricks, he now had 18 since joining Madrid. Despite this good start, Madrid were showing many cracks within the team. For example, they had a 2-1 defeat to Getafe on match week 2, and 2 weeks later they lost to Seville. In the UCL, they would lose to Dortmund in the third game and fought for their lives to get a draw in the return fixture. Whenever the team was failing, Ronaldo was always finding a way to win. And against Seville, he had 3 goals and 1 assist in a 4-1 win to try and keep pace with Barcelona, who were leading the league title race. But in the end, it would be in vain, as Barcelona were too far ahead. But Ronaldo managed to score 34 goals in a difficult season. And a similar fate awaited him in the UCL, as that same Dortmund team they struggled to beat in the group phase would knock them out in the semifinals. And he would exit the competition with 12 goals, being the sole reason why Madrid even got that far in the first place. The remarkable performances and the fact that he carried the team through so many difficult moments that season would win Ronaldo the Ballon d'Or. So 4 years at Madrid and Ronaldo had now won the league, Copa del Rey, and was named the best player in the world within one of the club's worst ever seasons. He had everything he came here to win except the Champions League. So let's take a look at how he would approach the competition in 2014. By 2013, Cristiano Ronaldo had conquered Spain, La Liga, the Copa del Rey, the Supercopa. He had won them all. But one prize still eluded him in a Real Madrid shirt, the UEFA Champions League. So as the 2013-14 campaign began, his mission was clear, La Decima. The road to glory would begin on September 17th. Drawn into Group B, Madrid faced Galatasaray, Copenhagen, and Juventus. And first up, a daunting trip to Istanbul to face the Turkish giants. What followed was a performance that announced Ronaldo's intent to the entire continent. In the 63rd minute, a simple tap-in. 3 minutes later, in the 81st, he teed up Benzema, and in the 90th, a breathtaking solo goal, one that would be replayed in football documentaries for years to come. Match week 2 came quickly, this time Copenhagen at the Bernabeu, backed by a roaring home crowd. It took Ronaldo just 21 minutes to get on the score sheet, and in the 65th, another header made it 5 goals in just 2 games. But the skeptics were present. After all, it was only Galatasaray and Copenhagen. Juventus would surely provide a real test, and back-to-back games against the Italian giants would surely slow him down. But what we didn't yet know was that this season, Ronaldo was inevitable. Just 4 minutes into the clash, he had the legendary Gianluigi Buffon scrambling. In the 29th minute, he calmly slotted home the winner from the penalty spot to make it 7 goals in 3 games. In the reverse fixture, things didn't start well. Arturo Vidal put Juventus ahead early, but in the second half, Ronaldo struck again to bring Madrid level. 10 minutes later, he set up Gareth Bale to take the lead. The match ended 2-2, but Ronaldo had done his part. A minor hamstring strain saw him miss the next match, but he returned for the final group game and scored again in a 2-0 win. Cristiano ended the group stage with 9 goals and 2 assists, and in the round of 16, Schalke awaited. But as expected, Los Blancos made light work of the German side, with Ronaldo finishing both legs with 4 goals and 2 assists. But now the real test begins, because waiting in the quarterfinals was the team that had knocked them out last season. Madrid went into this nervously, but they were at home, so they had the upper hand. It took Bale just 3 minutes to break the deadlock, and after that, the goals came flooding in as Isco and Ronaldo would finish the job to complete a 3-0 demolition. Ronaldo, however, missed the return fixture with a tendinosis injury around his left knee, and Madrid, even though they lost 2-0, managed to make it to the semifinals. In the first leg, it was clear that he wasn't fully fit, but Madrid would carve out a 1-0 win. But in the second leg, Ronaldo was at full fitness, and 2 goals from him would send Madrid to the finals to face their neighbors Atletico. As a Madrid fan, you would be licking your lips at this tie, because they would normally beat Atletico even on their worst day. Before the match, both teams had faced each other 203 times in history. With Madrid winning 102 times, Atletico won 51 and 50 draws, so they entered the finals as favorites. In the 36-minute, Godin would head Atletico into the lead, and for all the attacking Madrid was doing, nothing was getting through. Atletico had parked the bus. All 11 players were camping out in their own half to protect their lead. And when the clock struck 90 minutes, just moments away from celebrating a famous victory, the Madrid captain fired a bullet header past the keeper to level the match in the dying minutes and forced extra time. In extra time, Madrid would take control and fired 3 more goals past Atletico, ending the match 4-1. And of course, Ronaldo was on the score sheet. The Portuguese would lift his first ever Champions League, and he also had a record-breaking season, scoring 17 goals and 5 assists, the highest ever goal tally in the competition's history to this day. But this was just the start to his domination of world football. If you want me to cover the rest of Ronaldo's career, please let me know in the comments.